Hello YouTube, and welcome back to my silly survival world. We have a lot more work to be done here on gathering materials for our home, but that is not going to be the focus of today. No. Alright, first thing I want to aim for is terracotta and glass. For the most part today, I would like to talk about a couple of hot takes of mine. Some opinions as somebody who's been playing Minecraft for what, over a decade? I think I'm allowed to have an opinion or two on the game. So I thought it would be very funny if, both in the title and here at the start, I started with two of the hottest takes that I have for this game. The Elytra should be nerfed, and mending should be removed. Now, I know, I'm speaking in a very inflammatory manner, right? That's partly intentional. I don't think that Minecraft needs to change. I enjoy this game, clearly. I'm still playing it, and whatever the developers choose to do, I will likely continue to play it. It's a really great game that's brought me and a lot of other people a whole lot of joy. So I don't think Minecraft needs to change. There's just a few things that kinda bother me sometimes, and I think the game would be better for it if it did change a few things around. Now, let me elaborate, right? I said the Elytra should be nerfed. Why? I generally think the Elytra is unhealthy for Minecraft, and a lot of people would probably disagree. It's somewhat enjoyable, right? It is enjoyable to fly around your world, and that is good. Having fun with the game is great, but I think the Elytra as a mechanic generally steers people away from a lot of other alternatives, and I think it's just unfortunate how much is overshadowed by its existence. This game has so many cool ways of getting around. I mean, you have horseback, there are speed potions, they've added happy gas in a recent update. There are tunnels that use dolphins to give you dolphin's grace throughout the whole trip. There are nether highways, ice boats. I mean, heck, most of what I just mentioned is applicable in the nether. There's so many ways of getting around. And I think the Elytra completely and totally invalidates all of them. That's not to say that you shouldn't use those other methods, it's to say that I want the game to give you motivation to do so. I just think it's a shame that there's no reason to interact with all of the interesting systems this game has. Yes, you can get mildly faster if you do use blue ice or if you do use Dolphin's Grace. But the problem with that is, those methods take a large amount of setup. There's a lot of time invested to create a path from one location to another. The Elytra doesn't have limitations. It's not a matter of how fast it is necessarily, it's a matter of how little it actually takes. It's not just the fastest method, or one of the fastest, but it's the easiest one. You don't need to breed a fast horse. You don't need to make trails. You don't need to dig out pathways. And I think that's a shame, because Minecraft is, while it is a sandbox, and while you do create generally because you just want to, I think that it helps for a lot of players, myself included, if there is a reason to do something. The game doesn't it's hard to say, because at the end of the day, I understand that the game has a very open design philosophy. It tries not to pigeonhole you into one thing or the other, and that's good, generally. If you don't want to interact with most systems in the game, especially newer ones, you don't have to, and that's very much by design. But the elytra doesn't feel like that to me. The elytra doesn't feel like it is just one option out of the bunch. It's really easy to do, and it makes all the other options in the game feel less worth it, less valuable. And that's where I start to dislike it. And you might just say, hey, if you don't like it, don't use it. And, well, I don't, because I genuinely just don't enjoy the elytra as much as I do other options. But I think that it's a shame that most people will use it. Because I think a lot of people could find joy in all these interesting and niche parts of the game, and having this option that invalidates all of them so readily accessible to everybody is just unfortunate. Players tend to take the path of least resistance, and if you make something both efficient and easy, players are going to take that option. So I can sit here and complain about it, right? And if I keep on going, I'll probably just repeat myself. So let me talk about what I think could be done about it. Namely, there are two different approaches. You either take and make other methods of movement stronger, like how minecarts are, I don't remember, either meant to get a buff soon or already have gotten a buff. That, or you make the elytra weaker. Now, I am going to keep talking in my own little fantasy land where I say that they actually do nerf the elytra because I think that would be the best approach. That said, at this point in the game's lifespan, I don't think it's really a viable option. The backlash would be immense, but I do think that it would be better for the game in a lot of ways. So, how do I propose the elytra be nerfed? Well, really, I don't think the elytra itself needs a nerf. The only thing that I find makes the elytra too strong is its immense versatility. And its versatility primarily comes as a result of one item. Using fireworks, you can propel your elytra in any direction you like, and I think that's kind of terrible. Fireworks make the elytra extremely fast with little to no effort. Stacking up thousands and thousands of fireworks isn't that hard. In fact, it's much easier than setting up pathways. It's much easier than capturing dolphins and getting them in position. It is much easier than any other option around. And a lot of the time, it's faster. Now, I do think it would be an improvement if fireworks simply had no interaction with the elytra, but I think an interaction that would be really cool is if the fireworks simply launched you into the air. It'd be interesting as a starting point to launch you off the ground and get your flight started. The elytra is a gliding tool, and it's very easy to forget that because elytra just makes it a flight tool. I think that nerfing the fireworks down to just being a method of getting up still makes them extremely useful to elytra users, but it does keep the elytra as a method of gliding rather than a method of flight. I'd also like to potentially see buffs to the ways that you can launch yourself with an elytra. The idea of launching off the ground with a small contraption is really cool to me. It encourages you to make launching points, but it keeps exploration more interesting because you can't just skip past all the world. I feel like the elytra actively makes Minecraft's world less interesting because you're always seeing it from thousands of blocks and, well, not thousands. That's an exaggeration. You're always seeing it from at least 100 blocks overhead. It feels like you're just not interacting with the world anymore. You go out to find one specific thing and you come back and you forget all the trip in between. It's sad, it's unfortunate, I cry every time. the elytra allows you to just skip over large swaths of land and really just not pay any attention to the world you're traveling in the meantime. I really don't like it. I find Minecraft's world to be beautiful at times, and I really honestly enjoy walking through it. Not to mention going through biomes and finding all these unique places and natural generation. It always gives me a new idea for a build I should do. Or I think, oh, I really want to come back to this place at some point, and I think the elytra kind of hurts that. I mean, you can tell me in the comments if you're an avid elytra user, do you really take in the landscape when you're flying by, or are you just laser focused on that one thing you're looking to find in the meantime? Because at the end of the day, I am kind of generalizing. I've definitely used the elytra in previous worlds, but I haven't used it in quite some time, and my feelings on it might be very different from yours. Another effect I think the elytras had on the game in general is scale. The game has gotten bigger with time, and I'm not talking player counts or even the world itself. The world has been the same size for a long time. I mean, the area you actually play in has gotten bigger. The builds that we make have gotten bigger, and the detail has grown with it to some extent, but I've seen a lot of career YouTubers, career Minecrafters who make a living off of this game, which is crazy. It's wild that you can do that, but I see their worlds and they create these huge, huge buildings. To walk from one end to the other could take up to 20 minutes of just walking for some of the builds these people make, but I kind of don't like them. Yes, they're large and impressive, but they feel like they are partly a result of the elytra. We've gotten so used to seeing the world from so high up, so far zoomed out, and it can make some grand, magnificent builds, but the experience of actually walking through them is just not that interesting to me. They look big and impressive, but they feel boring to be in. I really like smaller builds in Minecraft. I really like having these compact details, and I do think a big part of what makes Minecraft building interesting to me is the limitation. Art comes from limitation, and I really like to see what people can come up with. It's insane just how many ways people have figured out to put blocks together to make new and interesting concepts. But at a certain scale, I think a lot of those smaller things are lost. I like to walk around as a player on the ground and just experience a little place I've made. I like little cozy spaces, and I guess that being my personal preference in the game is a big, big part of why I personally choose to stay away from the elytra. A part of me just misses when Minecraft builds used to be small, and I guess that could be nostalgia, and at the end of the day, I can make my build small. And in my own way, I'm doing my part to kind of revitalize a part of this game that felt lost to me in a lot of ways. And maybe the elytra's just my scapegoat. Maybe the problem is just that there are so many people making a full-time living off of this game that there's kind of an expectation nowadays with your world that you're going to make a mega base with 5 billion blocks in it, and that's just normal now. But looking at this game as, well, a game, I do think that elytra's smelly, and I think that having these smaller, more detailed buildings is just more interesting, at least to me. I want to see the game more so encourage the small things, right? From block to block. I like to walk around places. I like spaces made for people-sized people. And I think I'm kind of rambling here. I'm getting a little off topic. The Elytra, I don't like it very much. I would like to see other movement options either brought up to speed or have fireworks nerfed in general so that people start building fun, interesting launchers and just putting things in the world. A motivation to put more things in your world is just always really great, I think. And the more Minecraft can encourage you to build a little place for the new thing you're doing, I think the better. It encourages you to play the game. It's one of those deals as well where I think motivation comes after you actually start. Building gives you motivation to build a lot of the time, and maybe building an Elytra launcher instead of just getting more and more fireworks could be something that motivates you to build. You want to make a new place to house your new launcher, new designs. I just think that is more conducive to an interesting game. I think you all understand my silly little gripes with the system that is Elytra. I don't know why I said it like that. Let me talk about the other one, and I think the other one is probably more controversial than the last one I said. Mending shouldn't be in the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a mending user. All of my tools have mending on them because of course they do. I don't want my things to break. That would be terrible. It'd be sad and misfortunate. So if I don't want my stuff to break, then what do I mean mending should be removed? Well, honestly, I think a lot of the game surrounding experience and enchanting and anvils is really rough right now. It's a system that has been haphazardly built on top of a haphazardly built system, and I think it all kind of stinks a little bit. Getting armor and tools is, as of now, I would say the most boring part of this game. And I've heard people talk about it before, and there's been recent discussions on Twitter with Jeb that have been really interesting to see around the permanence of your tools. And I'm not here to argue that your tools shouldn't be something you can keep indefinitely. I personally think you should be able to keep your tools indefinitely. So then why do I think mending should be removed? Well, there's another system that I just think would do a much better job of what mending is doing, encourage you to interact with other systems of the game, and just feel less tedious overall. When's the last time that you repaired your equipment using an anvil? Honestly, please tell me in the comments, when is the last time that you walked to an anvil, took resources, and repaired your equipment? No one does. But why? Well, honestly, I think there's just one thing, really, that needs to change. I pose the question, really, honestly, I do wonder, why does repairing your tools and armor cost experience? I understand that things get more and more expensive to work on the more that you work on them in an anvil. I get that, but repairs? What is the experience doing in the anvil to repair your equipment? Why? I honestly think the anvil would feel so much better and it would be such a more interesting system if you just simply repaired your equipment in the anvil. I mean, what does mending really encourage you to do in the game, right? It encourages the player to make an experience farm and grind out experience. And, oh, my tools are breaking again. I better go back, stand in my kill chamber, and punch for a while. or I better go and splash my sad little tortured armadillos again. Whatever kind of XP farm you use, you go back to the farm every once in a while, get some experience, and leave. It's not that interesting. I do like that you are motivated to build experience farms. I like systems in the game that encourage you to make something. But I think the anvil just makes for a more interesting alternative to mending. Rather than going and getting more experience again, going back to your XP farm, leaving what you were doing, instead you repair your equipment through materials. I've seen a lot of people complain that, oh, Minecraft diamonds just don't mean anything anymore. You get so many of them and there's nothing to spend them on. What if you were repairing your equipment with those diamonds? Oh, I'm out of diamonds. I better go and get some more to repair my tools and armor. That sounds great to me, honestly. I would really enjoy having a reason to do that. It makes something like mining with a beacon much more valuable as well, and getting lots of resources out of that. It encourages you to go caving a lot more in the mid-game and early game. I think it would give a new, fresh breath of value to iron as well. I mean, honestly, I can see a world where iron tools are actually somewhat popular just because iron is very easy to get in bulk, and so iron tools tend to be very easy to repair. An extension to this system, gold is very easy to break, and that is realistic. Gold is quite a soft metal, but what if it costed less to repair? You need 1 gold bar and it will immediately repair your tool to full. I think that would be a really cool way to make gold more viable. Yes, it's expensive to use, but if you do invest the resources to enchant a gold pickaxe and get that extra speed over diamond or netherite, then you're actually rewarded for it long term. You can keep repairing that pickaxe. Well, long term might be an exaggeration. I doubt it's something you'd use a whole ton, but if you need to dig out a specific block very quickly that only gold could insta-mine, then I think it would be an excellent choice. You have a gold farm set up, you have all sorts of gold in stock, and you can keep repairing the tool before it breaks. That sounds really interesting to me, and at the end of the day, that's really what I'm talking about here. It's not a matter of fixing the game. I don't think the game needs fixing. I just think that some things could be more interesting. And I think being encouraged to get more diamonds, iron, gold is just more interesting than experience being a fallback for the whole bunch. Every tool is repaired the exact same way, and that's pretty lame. I want different tools to have different ideal ways of being repaired through the farms you set up. And somehow, I really honestly think that using the anvil to repair your equipment will encourage more building than experience. Speaking of, here is an interesting question for you. Do you think that the anvil even should interact with enchantments? I'm kind of mixed on it, but I will say I genuinely think the enchanting table should have a massive rework. I don't know exactly what would be done with the enchanting table, but I think an enchanting drop for the game would just be amazing. Enchanting has been the same for a very long time, and it's a really rough system. Villager trading has become a very dominant form of enchanting, and I kind of hate that. Villagers are almost entirely known for giving you enchanted books, because that's just what they're used for now. People set up trading halls to get all the enchantments at low prices, and I'm just thinking, how did we get here? I mean, enchanting table has enchant in the name, but it isn't our primary means of enchanting? I personally think the enchanting table should be majorly buffed. I feel like the players should have a lot more control over what actually goes on their tool. And this control could simply be the game telling you what you will receive or something, but I don't think that's all that interesting. I would like to see maybe an enchanting system that encourages exploration or dungeons or something of the sort, where you need a special item to get a certain enchant, or it could even be just currently existing items. Say blaze powder was really good at getting you strength. Certain items are used to cast the enchant onto your tool. It could even be a case that instead of just using bookshelves to increase enchant levels, which is a system I'm fine with, by the way, and I do think I would want that to be kept because enchanting setups look cool, and that's really awesome. It's a system that encourages you to make a thing that looks cool. But what if there were certain blocks that could also influence enchants? You place down a certain special block next to your enchanting table, and the enchanting table reacts accordingly. Maybe you have a magma block and it makes fire aspect more common. It could be something with chiseled bookshelves. It could be the case that you would set up a weird and elaborate contraption that swaps out blocks around the enchanting table to influence what you get. All of that sounds so much cooler than break lectern, pick up lectern, break lectern, pick up lectern, break. You get the point. You get the point. It's not interesting. It's not fun. I think going out and gathering new materials in order to create certain enchantments just sounds a lot cooler. It encourages you to interact with other systems of the game. And I think it just makes sense that the enchanting table does enchantment, and maybe just maybe, you use the enchanting table to put enchantments from a book on your tools. Whoa, crazy, but what about the anvil? Well, the anvil repairs your tools. And that's a really useful purpose. It's a little locked behind early to mid game. You need a lot of iron to get it. It's in a really good point in progression to serve that role. That's right about the thoughts I had on those systems. What do you think? Do you think that the elytra is too powerful? Do you think other methods of movement are too weak? Do you think the anvil should still be used for enchantments? Do you think that its repairs should cost levels? And is it more interesting to go out and gather experience, or to go mining, exploring, and making farms for iron, gold, and, well, what else can be farmed? You can't really farm diamonds, can you? Oh, and another little thing I should probably address as well, netherite. Yeah, I think netherite should just be repaired with diamond. I think that would be a really simple way to avoid netherite being really shit, because you have to repair it with netherite, and that would be terrible. I don't think anybody wants that world. Certainly not myself. Well, I was planning to just do a normal outro. Why don't you guys have legs? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Get out of here. Get out of here, fellas. We have 2 new additions to the garden today. So, allow me to introduce, and we are on the outer ring now. We're going to have to expand the garden soon, but I will hold off as long as I can. Welcome to the garden. Snowprods1, who wanted you to know that I don't have 1,500 subscribers, so thank you, and Cease to Exist. I've kind of been deliberating whether or not I should be using the YouTube name that shows up if you click on the channel, or the actual like the tag. I don't really know which is better to use, and there's kind of a mix of the two in this garden. Anyways, if you would like your name added to the garden, leave a comment down below and I'll get you added in the next episode I can. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a little unconventional for me. I just kind of talked about a subject I find very interesting, and I hope that it's an interesting episode in the end. For the time being, I'm gonna have to say, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.